Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
It seems as though a second government shutdown has been averted through a bipartisan deal on a budget that provides some funding for border security, but not the amount the Trump administration wanted.
It made for an interesting time for a group of Louisiana young farmers and ranchers to visit the nation's capital. TWILA's Neil Melanson followed along to find out what is working and not working in Washington, D.C.
In addition to picking a wonderful cold and blustery day here in D.C., we've picked an interesting time to visit, as right back here Congress is going over some negotiations to try and avoid yet another government shutdown. The young farmers and ranchers are visiting with their congressional delegation here to find out what the latest is on that, as well as the issues they care about back home.
The weather underneath the Capitol is always perfect, though. This train is taking a group of Louisiana's young farmers and ranchers from building to building as they visit their congressional delegation. There's a lot to talk about these days, including the hot topic of the government shutdown.
We need to keep the government open. We need to be able to go to our FSA offices and get our information and to be able to operate our farms, qualify for loans, get money, report crops, just everything we need to do. We need the government open so we can do that.
The shutdown has already affected rancher and grain farmer Robert Duncan, who couldn't get an FSA loan this year. Duncan told the ag liaison for Representative Cedric Richmond after the bad year that many soybean farmers in his area had, he's advocating for changes in the market facilitation program in Congress.
So if you were able to harvest, it definitely helped, pay a bill or two. But yeah, as you said, there's a lot of people who, we didn't get it on 50% of our acres. So
there are other issues, too. Inside Senator Bill Cassidy's office, sugarcane and grain farmer Vincent Canatella is asking Senator Cassidy about relief in the form of health care options for small farms.
A farm is a small business, and having health insurance coverage for your family is an extremely high cost right now.
At Congressman Clay Higgins' office, the group also found the time to address issues that may yet happen.
Waters of the U.S. Is one that's kind of hidden, or hadn't hit home yet, but hopefully y'all can get that addressed and get those definitions better defined on what navigable waters are, so that we potentially in the future won't face overregulation.
Well, a navigable waterway is certainly not a ditch
puddle in your field,
or a rut that your tractor wheel made. It's insane.
And while the young farmers and ranchers visiting, especially those who are visiting D.C. for the first time, are taking back quite a lot in terms of memories, they are going to be dealing with these issues for quite some time, long after this trip. For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Neil Melanson.
Thanks, Neil. There's a lot more on this latest young farmer trip and how these issues affect us at home on our website at twilatv.org. And by the way, we'll also link you to the YFNR page on that site so you can follow the group's activities throughout the year, and they really do a lot. Looks like they had a lot of fun on this latest trip.
And it looks like they had a big group, and it was a diverse group that kind of represented a lot of the different things that we farm in Louisiana, so I was glad to see that. And
it's also neat because they get to not only take in the sites, but see how the process works.
Right.
I know you've been on a few of these trips. What are you hoping they really got out of it?
Well, I mean, you literally get to walk through, you walk the same halls the legislators walk, and you do get to see, that they're in committee meetings, that they're doing this, and so you really do feel like you've got your pulse on how laws are made and how government works. So.
Well, I know someone who definitely has his finger on the pulse of conservation, and that's Louisiana State Conservationist Kevin Norton. He remains in Washington, D.C., and we don't know when he will be able to take the word acting out of his current title of Acting Associate Chief of the Natural Resources Conservation Service.
It was almost 2 months ago that his co-worker Matt Lohr of Virginia became the 16th chief of the NRCS. Lohr is a fifth-generation farmer from the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. He was at the recent cattle convention in New Orleans to speak with ranchers and landowners about the NRCS and how they can help them. Lohr had served as Virginia's Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services from 2010 to 2013. He credits much of his success to his farm time in the Virginia Farm Bureau.
Farm Bureau has played a major role in my life, in my leadership development, but the contacts and connections that it's given me has certainly helped me in this role. But it's funny because from the Farm Bureau end, in my previous life, worked very hard lobbying Congress to develop the Farm Bill. I mean, so from the farmer perspective, we got the Farm Bill written, you know, hooray, we got our job accomplished, but now as an agency head, we basically pick up from that point and go forward.
Laura was quick to point out that during his first week on the job, President Donald Trump signed the Farm Bill, and the following week was the shutdown. So he's anxious to get those rules and regulations written quickly.
This is the time of year when chances are your mouth is watering for crawfish. And I know, Kristen, you've already done a little bit on your part to support the industry, I think to the tune of about 150 pounds. Is that what you said?
A lot, yes.
150. However, this cold weather coming and going in South Louisiana is keeping the crawfish underground and out of traps.
This week, TWILA's Carl Wiggers heads to Acadia Parish to find out why the supply and demand rules aren't working with crawfish. Despite the crawfish catch being low, the prices keep going down.
My catch has been, for some reason, better than most, but the industry as a whole is lagging behind what was done last year. There's people who normally catch quite well have caught absolutely nothing until recently, maybe a little. And there's a mystery to it, and nobody knows why. Most of my neighbors are just not catching at all. Is there prospect for the season to turn around? Of course. I mean, everybody's always hopeful. You want to see them crawfish. We want to see them. Nobody's holding back on anybody. We did have some problems getting our men at the beginning of the season, kind of held things back also. But everybody's got enough men to work right now, and the catch itself is pretty much holding us back. Again, it's gone up in the last week or so, but our prices have also tanked. Where the price dropped by 50%, the catch did not increase by 50%. We lost $2 in price in somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 days, which is unheard of. I mean, I understand $4 was pretty much a pipe dream. We wouldn't have thought we'd have seen that, but that does not mean that you got to slam it all the way down into the ground. Just, you know, we're not very profitable where we're at, and we're like everybody else. We got to make a profit.
Savoy said he's had neighbors with hundreds of acres of crawfish ponds go and pull traps to only catch 35. That's not 35 sacks, that's 35 crawfish total, and you just can't make a living.
No,
like
I mean, that hopefully we'll get some warmer weather in the coming weeks and that will change. But those cold snaps that we've had recently, I mean, it was below 30 degrees in Baton Rouge this morning.
Right.
So, you know, I shouldn't say below 30 degrees, but it was in the 30s.
It was cold, yeah.
Yeah, it was cold enough for me to say, yeah, this jacket's not enough. I need a little bit more. So hopefully that will turn around and we'll start to see more of them coming in. And that way the crawfish farmers can stay on their feet.
We hope so. And as Carl showed us earlier, crawfish are not as plentiful as usual for this time of year, but the prices are dropping. We have the latest crawfish prices for you from around the state.
In Ruston, Ben Christmas Crawfish has them for $3.89 a pound live and $5.50 a pound boiled. If you head straight south to Alexandria, Crawfish Port Incorporated is offering them for $2.99 a pound in live sacks, while boiled crawfish are $5.99. As you would expect, the best prices are close to the source. In Lafayette, you can visit Superior Seafood Supply to get live crawfish for $2.65 a pound. If you want it boiled for you, you can head over to Cajun Blitz to get it for $4.99 a pound boiled.
And as always, make sure you shop around for the best price and check on Fridays, as prices tend to change right before the weekend. Special thanks to the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board. Ask before you eat.
And it always helps to also know a farmer who raises them.
That's true. It's almost like being on the cover of the Rolling Stone, only better.
Great, thanks Kristen. Now that song's going to be stuck in my head all day. On the cover of the Rolling Stone. Well, the February issue of the Progressive Farmer magazine is out, and as you can see behind me, West Baton Rouge Parish sugarcane farmer Bobby Morris is on the cover. DTN, the Progressive Farmer, named Morris one of the country's top 5 young farmers and ranchers. In December, Morris and his wife Melissa traveled to Chicago to receive the honor. The article on the Morris family is on page 68 of the special issue, so you can turn right to it. Go out, pick it up, and read up on why Bobby and Melissa Morris are so deserving of this honor. Again, congratulations, Bobby and Melissa. They are really a great farm family, good people, and I can't think of more deserving folks.
Me either.
Well, we'll see more of them in the future. Grant and Katie Estrade own and operate local cooling farms in Bogalusa, Louisiana. We've introduced you to them before here on the show. They use techniques such as multi-species grazing, silvopasture, planting cover crops, and bale grazing to get the most from their farm.
They have revived a property that was once considered biologically dead into a thriving farm. They're involved with the Louisiana Grazing Lands Coalition, which produced this next story showing all of the specialist techniques and hard work that go into local cooling farms.
Come on. Hey, my name is Grant Estrade. I'm the owner-operator here along with my wife Kate at Local Cooling Farms in Bogalusa, Louisiana. And we just moved the goats to a new silvopasture paddock that we're in the middle of putting together.
Come on, Tootsies. Come on. So I'm Kate Estrade, and my husband Grant and I have Local Cooling Farms.
We actually found the land, it was listed on Craigslist, like many other stories. So when we got here, the 16 acres, half of it was roughly pre-existing cropland. You know, they were doing traditional soybean, corn on here. The second half was basically an overgrown wooded area.
Because this land was farmed for row crops for years and years, it was kind of stripped of nutrients, and it was like rock hard clay pan soil.
You know, on 16 acres, that may not seem like a lot of acreage, you know, but we decided to go with a polyculture of livestock. If they followed one another in a managed pattern, the 16 acres would yield enough product for us, you know, to make a living here. You know, when we first started out, I knew right away when we came on the property that the soil was just depleted. Like, we really needed to get that together. You know, the background where I am now, you know, you could hardly see the sunlight coming through. Before, there was no airflow, so it was mosquito haven.
Chickens, like, one of their main purposes is just their manure is so much more potent. So it's like a great fertilizer for the pasture. Soil is one of the few ways that we have to sequester carbon and keep our planet able to grow food, you know, so we have to protect it.
Using systems like silvopasture, bale grazing, multi-species grazing, intensive managed grazing with electric fence.
It's periods of, you know, disturbing it, eating the bugs, and then moving on so it can recover and come back. And then that cycle, just each time it's kind of building this layer of soil.
So we're feeling very good, and you know, it's a positive feedback loop, because every time we do something, the land improves so much. That's so exciting just to keep doing what we're doing, because we can literally see the benefits months after we do something. So on our 16 acres, we're about 50-50 with our developing silvopasture and traditional pasture.
Hi, I'm Michael Blazier. I'm a professor with the LSU Ag Center, Hill Farm Research Station, and School of Renewable Natural Resources. Silvopasture is the practice of putting improved forage grasses between trees and under trees so that you get the benefit of the annual grazing for the benefit of your animal herd, but then you're also on a longer rotation getting the occasional timber revenues from the forest products that can be produced from them.
You know, it was really important for us to identify the assets that we had over here. So the assets that we had was an overgrown wooded area. So in that case, the problem and the solution were kind of hand in hand. You know, the natural solution was us first to get some goats. So we initially got the goats to start clearing My prior experience with raising larger animals was with pigs, and that was an easy decision to get pigs in.
Well, I'd say that, you know, once you incorporate animals into you know, the forested system there, then you're bringing in an agent for change, and you know, that diversity is what improves the overall health of the system there. I mean, nature doesn't lock away forests or lock away any system and then never disturb them there. It's actually getting closer to what natural disturbance patterns would do over time.
But it's the same in like other parts of the country where it's like you have to like either mimic what nature wants to do or manage it in a way that like allows it to complete those cycles.
You're keeping the soil healthier because you're recycling nutrients more effectively, you're capturing them more effectively. Those trees are going deep down in the soil to pull those nutrients up to help benefit the forages. So it can be a symbiotic relationship there. And that has an effect on soil health as well.
Let me tell you what, the grass doesn't grow under their feet, I promise you. Hello, I'm Stuart Gardner. I'm the Area Range Conservationist for NRCS down in Lafayette, Louisiana.
You know, talking with somebody like Stuart, he can really get all this information that's out there and you know, funnel it or dial it in to apply to our climate.
There's always a process of taking data from other regions of the country and trying to convert that to something that's useful to a producer here in Louisiana.
You got to be a grazer, you have to be a forester, and you have to be an arborist all at the same time.
What impresses me a lot is they do a great job of realizing by looking ahead where they're moving into the next paddock, into the next area.
So our animals here are very much employees. Goats browse, cattle graze, pigs plow, ducks drill, chickens scratch.
So I have the goats or the cattle, the grazers go first and eat just for one day typically and move them. And their hoof activity and their pruning the plants to a certain height.
We go ruminant, we go pig, we do cover crop or a long-term rest, and then we do that, and with our climate, we can do that year-round.
And the thing I've noticed by going out there from the first visit a couple of years ago to the last visit, maybe several weeks ago, I think the infiltration has really increased on their property. It's going down vertically into the soil. It's being absorbed, and I think the water holding capacity is increasing.
Adding carbon, adding material that then worms, dung beetles, you know, all of nature's decomposers then break that down, and you have organic matter for the grass to grow even more. The soil health will continue to improve as we cycle the animals through. I mean, we see it with each pass, like greener grass, more healthy native species.
There's study after study that shows that animals raised in this type of system has a higher nutrient density to it, and the flavors is off the charts.
For now, we sell all of our products, eggs, pork, goat meat, and some beef through our retail stores. So we sell all direct to consumer. We pretty much get to meet all of our customers who are eating our food, which is wonderful.
So that's going to allow us to operate on smaller acreage to keep a lower overhead and a tighter budget, and that's something that we can manage here. You know, where we're going, we're actually seeing the majority of benefits from the silvopasture system. There's so many different things that we can do with the silvopasture system.
And then the other thing that's incredible is when we first would stay out here, like we'd camp, and it's like you wouldn't even hear field crickets. Like everything was dead. And then, you know, with just a little like animal activity, it all just like starts coming back naturally. And now it's like a chorus.
You know, no matter what type of agriculture you're involved in, if you're grazing ruminants or if you're growing crop, you know, soil is the base. It's the media that we're using.
Like we have to feed ourselves from this planet, and the soil is how we feed ourselves. So, yeah, there is a way to do it that is beneficial to the earth. Like, we're here, so if we want to continue living, like, we have to feed ourselves from it. So, like, I've kind of like learned, I didn't necessarily like think of this going into it, but it's like sacred. It's like selling people food to feed their families is like one of the like highest callings, I feel like.
To be able to be an environmental steward and then to be able to feed people and know that there are families sitting down at night eating our food product is, that makes you feel really, really, really good about what you're involved in. And all at the same time, I'm being a good environmental steward and I'm feeding people fantastic, delicious products. So it's the best job ever.
This story is part of a series funded by the Louisiana Grazing Lands Coalition, the National Grazing Lands Coalition, and the Natural Resources Conservation Service. The LGLCI plans to produce 7 more documentaries related to sustainable agriculture and soil health between 2019 and 2020. We'll feature them right here on TWILA as they come out.
And by the way, it was TWILA alum Taylor Fry who shot and edited that video. Thank you, Taylor, for sharing your talents with us. To learn more about any of the organizations Avery just mentioned, head on over to our website at twilatv.org.
Still to come on TWILA. First, it was the cover of the Rolling Stone. Now it's another song to get stuck in your head. Don't worry, we'll all sing it together.
But first, a chance to learn how to save a life on the farm. Stay with us.
Farms are dangerous places to work. We had a stark reminder of that in May of last year when members of the Bastrop Fire Department rescued a man trapped inside of a grain bin.
That's why in a couple of weeks, the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation is holding a series of training workshops across the state. The workshops will train first responders on how to use equipment needed to rescue someone from a grain bin entrapment, and this training has already saved a life in Louisiana. The workshops will be held Tuesday, February 26th at D&G Farms in Iota, Louisiana, Wednesday, February 27th at Chauncey Petrie Farms in Ville Platte, and Thursday, February 28th at Angelina Grain in Vidalia. Lunch will be provided, but space is limited, so registration is required. For more information on the events and a complete rundown, you can log on to our website at twilatv.org.
If you're a parent of small children, we have a TWILA boost that your children will go crazy for this week, and it will probably drive you crazy too.
Parents and even folks like myself without kids are no stranger to the viral video craze that has your toddlers hypnotized. You know it. You know it, Avery.
Shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark. Yeah. Okay.
Well, check out this video that New Orleans native Andra Woodfin posted on Facebook. She said, in NOLA, we don't see sharks, but we do see crawfish.
Oh, baby crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, baby crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, baby crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, baby crawfish. Mommy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, mommy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, mommy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, mommy crawfish. Daddy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, daddy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, daddy crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, daddy crawfish. Grandpa crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, grandpa crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, grandpa crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, grandpa crawfish. Grandma crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, she's a shrimp, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, but a crawfish for the song, doo-doo-doo-doo, shark. Oh, I said shark, I meant to say crawfish, daddy shark, family crawfish, I am messing up, it's okay. Hey, family crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, family crawfish, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, where's the grandma, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, here she is.
It's going to be in my head all day. Baby crawfish.
I know.
I won't be able to get Luke and Logan to stop singing it.
I want that big granddad crawfish.
The granddad.
That was cute. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll take you from the field to feast to enjoy one of Louisiana's sweetest crops.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org and be sure to follow us on Facebook, watch us on Twitter, and catch us on Instagram, and maybe we'll be singing Baby Shark or Crawfish.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.